2017. Okay. Serious face. You want me to tell you about 2017? Okay, let me tell you about 2017. Here's the short version. No, wait. Come on. There were some good bits somewhere in there. Cars, brilliant. Let's talk about those. Can't go wrong with cars, can we? Now, in the future, not too far away, cars will soon not run on fuel, but on fizz. And I don't mean the James May kind, I mean electric fizzication. In fact, a lot of countries this year announced that they will ban traditional petrol and diesel engine cars about a couple of decades from now. This year, we also discovered an increasing number of cars that can already drive themselves and can even crash themselves. Yeah, let's not dwell on that. So driving itself will probably be banned soon too. Yeah, this is not going too well, is it? Let's bring it back to the present day. Actually, cars are better. They're more efficient, cleaner, friendlier, more comfortable, and safer than ever. But does all work and no play make Jack a dull car? Yeah, kinda. They're all getting so samey, so standardized to pedal that none truly stand out as being special anymore. Trying to think of my favorite car this year is like trying to recall my favorite banana this year. When was the last time you had a bad banana, right? They're all genetically honed to perfect packaging. And so it goes with cars. There's very few, if any, bad ones, but there's also very few standout memorable ones. That's why sitting here with my cup of tea, I'm kind of struggling to recall my best drives of the year. Tell you what, let's start with the most recent. The Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Yes, you have to say it with a really bad accent. Nearly 500 brake horsepower from a twin-turbo V6 that actually started out as a Ferrari V8 block and had 2 cylinders lopped off. I blasted up Jebel Jais in what's described as the fastest SUV around the Nürburgring. That is, of course, until the next fastest SUV comes along, which is probably going to be the Lamborghini Urus. Anyway, the Stelvio QV is biased towards rear-wheel drive pretty much most of the time, so it goes sideways. This is a family car where you can get home and you have to peel your children off the side windows. There'll be none of that. Are we there yet? It's a fantastic thing. But Alfa have a lot of work to do in this region to change perceptions and even create awareness of their brand. Would I have the Stelvio QV? Nah. I'd have the Priya and even more thrilling Giulia QV, which is what it's based on. I'll tell you what else I got sideways several times on a track that normally scares the shit out of me. The Lamborghini Huracan Performante at Yas Marina Circuit. Stick it in Corsa and this one hairy, beefy supercar that likes to play and make you look like a hero. So much performance, so accessible, and such a ridiculously clever rear wing that can vary downforce depending on which way you're going around the corner. I really love driving this thing, even more so than the Aventador S that I thrashed around the same circuit at the same time. But I still miss the utter insanity of the Gallardo Superleggera. That used to be like, go on, I dare you to change the gear with your foot to belly. Go on, then you do it. And you go, alright then, I will. I've dislocated my entire rib cage. My spleen is where my heart should have been. Screw it, I'm gonna go for the next gear. Somebody get this man a doctor. Urgently. He needs help. Talking of nutty Italian cars, I got to drive the Ferrari 812 Superfast up Jebel Jais as well. Yep, manhandling pretty much 800 brake horsepower up the tightest tarmac we've got. Hitting speeds between the corners that pretty much could get you banned for life. But my favorite Ferrari up Jebel Jais was actually one I reviewed last year, the 488 Spider, which is a car that restored my faith in supercar driving. It's a brilliant tool, beautifully balanced. There was one at the same event, so I made off with it, as you do. Can you blame me? Roof down, ringing it back up the hill. I wasn't quite as quick as the 812, but not only was I laughing more, I somehow grew a thick magnum moustache by the time I got to the top. I also found I was suddenly wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and amazingly, there was even a very stern-faced Higgins waiting for me at the top. Respect, by the way, to John Benedict Hillerman, the actor who played him and who passed away this year in November. The 488 is my current favorite Ferrari. And in fact, my current favorite supercar, full stop. And before you say, McLaren, I'm sorry, but they don't seem to want me to drive their cars anymore, so I have no idea if they're any good. It doesn't surprise me, since every time I had one in the past, it kind of fell apart. And all those influences they keep giving them to won't tell you that. One car nearly died on us coming back from Jebel Jais a few years ago, and we had to leave it at the mall and tell them to come and pick it up. And another MP12D/44C-C3PO subsection A addendum 74, whatever it's called. Thank God they don't still give them silly microwave oven names anymore. Anyway, that car gave me the fright of my life the very first time I drove a McLaren. So here's what happened. I picked up the car and headed up one of my known roads where I could open it up. And as I got deeper into the lock your way numbers, shall we say, I suddenly heard an almighty bang at the front. Flippin' nearly gave me a heart attack. I thought I'd smashed into like a low-flying falcon or a miniature camel in the middle of the road. I pulled over sharpish and I jumped out expecting to be a massive gash in the front of the car. Nah. It was the bloody windscreen rubber seal that had come away and smacked back on the roof that had made noise. And it wouldn't stay in place after that, and I spent the whole rest of the time with my hand driving like this out the window holding it in place. I've got a sunburnt on my hand! I've got brown skin, how did I get sunburnt? Anyway, back to this year's cars. If in today's automotive landscape you still yearn for something that offers the absolute purest driving experience, you go buy a Lotus or a Caterham, which is also actually a Lotus, really. So I like to try and drive a Lotus at least once a year to reset my car testing barometer. And sure enough, the Evora Sport 410 I got to thrash this year was sublime. There is nothing that feels more alive in your hands and more communicative than a Lotus, and this Evora Sport 410 was particularly hardcore. A bit too hardcore, actually. The race seats did my back in, but you can get it with the regular pews, I believe, and that's what you should do. The car focuses your senses tightly. I tell you what, if Bond went back to driving a Lotus again, he wouldn't be calling up Miss Moneypenny to book his next shaving session with her whilst in a high-speed car chase with a mad henchman hell-bent on ripping that absurd pout from his craggy face. In fact, he'd be like, sod the mission, I'm driving the Lotus for the rest of the movie because the plot is pointless and the only thing anyone will ever remember about this movie is the Day of the Dead parade and the building demolition sequence at the beginning. Boy, have I digressed. Anyway, let's move on to two Chevrolets. Yep, Chevys. Not just one, but two. Two American muscle machines on my very short list of cars that stuck in my head long after I had driven them. That's actually quite remarkable. And let's start with the Camaro ZL1, a 650 brake horsepower V8 in a fearsome muscle car that actually knows more than a thing or two about handling. You can run it on a drag strip or point it at the twisties and it will simply do its thing both times. I thought the regular Camaro SS was frankly brilliant, especially dynamically compared to the previous version, but the new ZL1 is power you can deploy. You can actually channel all that torque into forward momentum without obliterating expensive rubber and deconstructing tarmac one chunk at a time. It slices up apex like Edward Scissorhands, just snips, 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 and just barges straight through them. For something even tighter, with the same freaking power unit but less weight, a bit like going from Xena the Warrior Princess to Wonder Woman, we come to the gorgeous and sensational Corvette Z06. And the car I got to drive was just about the best version of it possible. Convertible with a 7-speed manual transmission. I was in utter heaven driving this car. So excited did I get about this thing that I did the video review with the roof down in the middle of the UAE summer. Totally mental, but utter joy. And you can see the review on youtube.com/motoringmiddleeast, as with all the other cars I mentioned, apart from the Lamborghini, because that's on facebook.com/motoringmiddleeast. And that's it really. I'd like to put the Ford Mustang Shelby GT350 in this lineup, but I really only briefly drove that and not on particularly interesting roads, so the experience doesn't quite get up there. It's a shame really, because I would like to have another go in that. So that's pretty much it for cars. Pretty sparse, right? The question is it because the cars are just not that exciting anymore, or because I didn't drive enough of the right kind of cars this year? Well, here's a gauntlet. Well, okay, a glove. and I throw it upon the floor at your feet, you manufacturers, you. Now it's up to you to pick it up and prove me wrong. I have another set of driving gloves ready and waiting.
I challenge you to a duel. I accept.
What else? Well, a couple of key moments of pride for me and Team Motoring Middle East actually. For the second consecutive time, we ran the Ignition Live talks at the Dubai International Motor Show. This time we doubled the number of talks. 26 shows and nearly 60 guests in a total of 5 days. Hectic, hard work, but so satisfying. The talks went brilliantly and they were a hit. But for me personally, the best car ever session on the Friday night will be the highlight of my entire year for sure. We absolutely rocked the place and I whipped the massive crowd into a frenzy, bringing the house down. They were screaming and shouting and even hurling insults at each other to choose the best car ever. Which turned out to be, go back and check out our video on YouTube to find out. Secondly, Motoring Middle East, us, that's me and my partner Imtishan, we got profiled in a brilliant interview in the media industry magazine Campaign Middle East. It was an excellent piece by the editor in which we were allowed to let loose and really tell it how it is. So if you want a frank and honest insight into the state of automotive media in the region, go read it. There's a link on the Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Motoring Middle East. So what else can we talk about this year? Politics? Sheesh. The world is so screwed, isn't it? Wars, poverty, genocide, forced migration, severe environmental flux. Guys, I've been watching a lot of BBC World News this year, and I have to say, there's one thing that comes across when you watch that much news, is that we humans suck. If alien tourists visited our planet, their Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy entry for the third planet from the sun would read, "Nice place, shame about the people." And then there's Trump, the guy that single-handedly brought idiocracy 5 centuries forward. And if you haven't seen that movie, you absolutely must, and you'll realize how relevant that is today. Trump is like the ultimate baddie who very quickly escalated from B-movie villain to taking over the world! And he did, well, kind of. And so that's that. Frankly, it's a wonder that we're all alive and the world hasn't blown itself up already. It certainly feels like it wants to, or rather, the people on it do. You see, the problem seems to be that there is a tidal wave of tension that has swept across the world, very much channeled by social media, in fact, and which has whipped up this cacophony of fear and hate that is pulling us apart in animosity and creating an environment that is conducive to a third world war. And I'll tell you this much, folks, if it does all kick off, none of us will be making it through to the other side. It will be total annihilation. It's not Skynet becoming self-aware, it's moronic world leaders being totally unaware that's going to bury us in the end. So here's my prediction for 2018. The world will end. Happy New Year and goodbye. No, guys, just kidding with you. That's a horrible way to end this video. We surely have at least until 2019. No, but seriously. Going back to motoring terminology, think of it this way. It's a bit like getting into a tank slapper slide when you're leaving a car meet in an over-exuberant manner in a powerful rear drive machine. You plow straight into a load of people, you kill a kid in a wheelchair who begged his reluctant dad to take him to see all the cool cars just that morning. You go to jail, your life is ruined, you can't live with it anymore, you hang yourself, the end. All for a moment of hubris. Instead, recognize the limits of your abilities. You give it a few crowd-pleasing revs, and you move off in a controlled manner. Everyone waves and smiles, you attend another meet the next week, life carries on. All because you calmed your shit down. You see what I'm getting at? It's not rocket science, it's not SpaceX science, it's not even nuclear missiles from North Korea science. It's simple self-preservation common sense. So let's try this again. Here's wishing less hate and more love for 2018. Let's make cars, not war. Live long, and prosper.